So I was in Travincal, yelling at corpses, and all of a sudden, a cham rune. Statistically very rare, but not the drop that got me most excited. To understand why, let's go back to the beginning. This is an experiment. I wanted to see if a barb... I said barb? I guess old habits die hard in this game. Well, anyways, I wanted to see if a barb could gear himself in Travincal without the help of a sorceress. To get ready for Travincal, I had to do a lot of this. And some of this. And some of this. And I even tried this, even though this was not really something worth doing. After taking ChatGPT's rune word advice, I eventually made an oath rune word in a small crescent. It could have gone a bit higher on the enhanced damage. I think it goes up to 340%. But a very good start, and I'm happy I managed to find an ethereal base. The singer becomes a berserker, and this will be 1,000 runs of Travincal to gear a barbarian. He is starting out with an oath in his main hand, 3 perfect topaz in a death mask for that sweet magic find, a lionheart rune word in a wire fleece for some stats, some rests, and some enhanced damage, a crafted amulet, a rhyme rune word to cover that cannot be frozen, as well as some magic find. A couple of really nice war travelers, I was so happy to find this on my way, as well as this 30 magic find nagel ring, a set belt with some rests and some stats, a dwarf star for that all important fire absorb for the council, and a couple of 37 magic find chance cards. The charms are just an assortment of whatever I could find really, and this all puts me at about 240% magic find. A good start. To start out, the runs were rough, and this is what it looked like. The council members healed each other, and I couldn't really get the hang of target locking with the controller. I had actually started to think that maybe I had made a mistake, but I persevered. And just 26 minutes into this experiment, I was heavily rewarded. Set bramble mitts, it is of course laying of hands. At this point, I can't even think of a single drop that would have made such a difference on my runtime. With damage to demons, increased attack speed, fire resistance, they check all the boxes for a pair of good Travincal gloves. On the next run, I find Nat's helm. Even though the stats are quite nice on this item, I've never used it. I hear the full set is good with blade assassins. Sadly, the drop footage is missing, but just 15 minutes after Nat's helm, I find a unique lich wand. It's Bone Shade. While it is a cool item, it is sadly outperformed by the white rune word. Just 10 minutes later, this classic two-handed drops. It's a unique decapitator with good damage that scales with both character level and strength, but it has a high stat requirement and it's slow. It is of course a Hellslayer. Every time you press the skill item find with the controller and you're not properly positioned, the character says, I can't use that yet. And it's really getting on my nerves at this point. I had to lower the voice of the character in game. At the turn of the first hour, I find a unique rune sword. It is Plague Bearer. This drop concluded the first hour, and I was quite happy. But I had no idea what was in store for me. During this experiment, I averaged 2-minute runs, and they took, altogether, over 30 hours to complete. Remember that cham rune from the start? While it flooded me with brain chemicals, sure, it wasn't a part of my plan. You see, I had sort of a wish list, and cham rune wasn't part of that wish list. And even though I love unique amulets, Amaras wasn't a part of that wish list either. I had big plans for my barb. I eventually wanted him to farm chaos. But first he needed to get more effective at farming Travincal, and for that we would need a low rune to make grief in a faceblade. A pair of hospital gloves, luckily we already can check these off the list. A Shaco was definitely a part of my wishlist, as well as a good Geed's Grand Charm. Last but not least, the runes to make an enigma. I will admit this list is a bit greedy, but at the end of this experiment I would have 3 out of 5. Not exactly an enigma, but for the time being this nice staff will do. Next up is a pair of green war boots. It is Immortal Kings. Right now we're 5 hours into this experiment, and this next drop is the reason Mara's wasn't a part of my wishlist. It's a unique amulet, and it is High Lord's Wrath. Both the attack speed and amount of deadly strike on this amulet will help me greatly. The next hour brings a unique battle belt, a love letter to the cold sorceress. It is a Snow Clash. Just an hour after the Snow Clash drop, I pick up a Grand Charm. It is a Peacomb. This next rune drop is great, because if I can get 6 of these, I'm gonna put them in a Crystal Sword for just tons of magic find. Right now we're about a quarter of the way through this experiment, and this is the part where the first high rune drops. One of the rarest runes in the game, only surpassed by the Sod rune. While I was happy and it felt like my experiment just got real, it is a confusing drop. Because what should I do with it? I guess I could put it in a future Shaco to cover Cannot Be Frozen. That would enable me to drop the Rhyme rune word in the shield and instead use a 6-isted Crystal Sword. But a much cheaper option would be to just get a Trang belt. Happy but confused, I'm still wondering what I should use this Cham rune for. What do you think? In the background you're seeing me wasting time not killing council members, but getting rewarded with a Mal rune. Sure, it's a mid rune, but it instantly made me feel grief, and being one step closer, even though it's a relatively small step, I'm happy with that. 2 hours later, a unique Dust Shroud drops. At this point, I don't know what I'm hoping for since I'm committed not to playing Sorcerer. It rolls 3 to Fireball. I've never seen that, so pretty cool. Just a handful of runs later, another unique amulet drops, and I'm wondering at this point, can I really get another good amulet? Turns out, yeah, I can. I have never seen a metal grid. This drop would actually come in clutch, because later I would use this on an assassin to kill the Uber bosses. The attack rating on this really made a difference. I had a really good start, which made me ill-equipped to handle 5 hours of nothing. Sure, I did find this, that, and the other thing, and with this Immortal King chest drop, I was actually contemplating farming the essences to respec. Even though I had somewhat perfected my strategy of killing the council, the runs were still taking 2 minutes. I'm sadly missing the footage, but I had actually dropped an Immortal King weapon with 40 crushing blow, and at this point I'm thinking this'll be faster with just Whirlwind. Luckily, I didn't have to put my theory to the test, because the next drop changed everything. Finally a low rune. This couldn't have come at a better time. There had been many moments before this I ran around yelling at corpses thinking the next corpse is gonna bring me a low rune. It never did. It happens when you least expect it. This drop, together with the Mal rune from before, finally made me able to roll a Grief. Grief can roll between 30 and 40 increased attack speed and up to 400 on the added damage. My Grief rolled low to mid, but I still love it. And as that old adage goes, even a bad Grief is a good weapon. If the laying of hands was a great increase in felt power, this was even worse, or better. With a considerable increase in power output, I could bump up the player count to players 3. This would allow me to reduce the council members' no drop chance to 0. Let me know if I misunderstand this, but I think there's a chance that a council member drops nothing. and going players 3 effectively reduces that chance to 0. This is not based on official sources, rather it is community research by smarter people than me. Smarter people than I? Anyways, what this means is that I can use my new grief, increase player settings, and kill council members in exactly the same amount of time. The runs still took 2 minutes on average. So the payoff wasn't so much feeling more powerful as it was just knowing that theoretically I would get more loot. And that was all I really needed to get back into it. On run 510, I yell at a corpse to get a unique serpent skin armor. It is a Viper Magi. It can go up to 35 all res. Unfortunately, this one is a bit low, but still pretty sweet. With the grief checked off the list, it was high time we got a good Geeds. Unfortunately, this was not it. But beggars can't be choosers, so I guess I'm using this. Or am I? Because in the next hour, another one drops, and it's not a terror zone, so it has to be a Geeds. At moments like this, it actually feels like the game is playing you more than you playing the game, because just an hour later, another Grand Charm drops. And I guess I had paid my dues at this point, because this is a 36 Geeds. The observant audience member would have noted that I am right now 3 out of 5. I am talking about the wish list I stated before. I have Laying of Hands, I found a low rune to make grief, and I have a good Geeds. The 2 things missing right now is a Shaco and the runes for Enigma. And spoiler alert, none of those dreams would come true, but don't lose faith, because the game had other plans for me. I got a gold wrap, and I would find an immortal king helm that I put 2 perfect topazes in. And within the last 300 runs, I would find a very rare jewel, another high rune, a very good mercenary weapon, and probably the single most valuable item yet in all these runs. Let's get back to it. We are now in the last stretch of the experiment, and this was a particularly nasty group. When they bunch up like that and you get cursed, it's quite scary. Scary or not, they would drop my one and only rainbow facet during these runs. And I was very happy to see it was a 5/5 fire facet. Over the next 4 hours, absolutely nothing dropped. I was closing in on the last 100 runs, and I was afraid all my luck already had been spent. But then, all of a sudden, on the 30th hour of this experiment, we get the terror zone. Now, terrorized Travincal on players 3 was a bit of a challenge for my guy. He could definitely dish it out, but if they cursed and had bad modifiers, it could get really serious. Not to mention all the hierophants and zealots running around just being a nuisance, causing a ruckus. None of that would eventually matter when I get flushed with brain chemicals from my 3rd high rune drop. It's an Ohm rune. This drop really hit the spot. Earlier I mentioned I would later do Ubers with an assassin, and this came in handy. I actually rolled a call to arms. CTA can roll up to 6 on both battle orders and battle command. Mine is 444, which is quite nice. As of right now, editing this video, I have killed the Ubers 2 times with an assassin, and I can say with confidence I would not have been able to without this CTA. What you're watching right now is the average Terror Zone Players 3 Travincal. To play it as safely as possible, I tried to cut inside the temple, just leap attacking to get up there and polish off one council member as fast as I could. Inside the temple I also could afford to howl at them to make them run away in fear. If I did it outside the temple, they would sometimes just run far off and I sometimes wouldn't be able to find them. Checking my notes, after the Ohm rune I didn't find anything for about 2 hours. I realize I've been quite inconsistent in what types of drops I've been showing. I blame it on the dopamine fasting that the game put me through. You really know you're in a fasted state if you get excited by a Talrasha weapon. Before we get into the last two notable drops of this experiment, I would like to do some honorable mentions. This is because I did this experiment on PlayStation 5 and on single player, and I manually took notes with my notebook and timed the runs and sessions with just a stopwatch. And clumsy as I am, I misplaced some of the notes, so I have drops and footage of the drops, but I have no recollection when exactly they took place or on what run. Doing some forensics of the footage, I can tell you that I found a green amulet during the second half of these runs. This is the 6th or 7th green amulet I had found, and I was not prepared for a Tal amulet. I also found a unique demon hide sash during the second half of this experiment. Yet another item my assassin later would wear to defeat the Ubers. It's a string of ears. Also during the second half of this experiment, I found a pair of battle boots. It is War Travelers, and they're at 40% magic fine. These go up to 50%, which would have been sweet, but I'll take a pair of 40s. At this point, my Barbarian is really spoiling the assassin. These pair of boots would be upgraded and then gifted to her. We're now into the last 50 runs, and the drops weren't done. Still to go was a Merc weapon and a single drop that I think is the most valuable. Even though my Barbarian couldn't use it, it's still a good drop, but I have mixed emotions about it. Let's check out the Merc weapon first. It's a treasure, a unique treasure. Reaper's Toll. An ethereal would of course be amazing. It is still a good weapon with some good damage, even though I think it's a bit overlooked for its defensive capabilities. The Decrepify proc is amazing. Not only does it reduce the enemy defense, it also slows them, and it becomes sort of a defensive layer for you and your Merc. With 40 more runs to go, we're now on the last notable drop of this experiment. This is a drop I have teased as being one of the most valuable. I'd be curious to see what you guys think. Value is of course relative, and this is sitting on single player. Anyways, it's a Grand Charm. And I had no expectations on this one. I thought I was done. I definitely was not thinking a 45 to life javelin skiller. I had a lot of fun with this experiment, but it took some time. For the next challenge, I'm thinking of doing a time limit instead of a run count. The most exciting drops were really the high runes, Low, Ohm and Cham. Although what made the biggest difference for my Barb was probably the Hospital Gloves, the High Lord's Amulet, and yes, of course, the Grief faceplate. Still missing is the elusive runes for Enigma. The question is, where do I go next? What do you think? Leave a comment down below to let me know, and if you see fit, like the video and subscribe for more. Peace.